It's just math, y'all. It's not that bad. It's just math. We can do this. Today we are doing quadratic formula problems, using the quadratic formula to solve a quadratic equation. So it's just math, y'all. We can handle it. Here we go. Let's look at a couple of more examples here. We've got this one. This is y squared plus 32 equals 14y. Don't forget your steps and don't forget your formula. There they all are. If you need to refresh your memory on those, get those in front of you. That formula needs to be either memorized or right smack in front of you so you can see it. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it say equal to 0. That's the first step. Make it equal to 0. So I'm going to write that down. Set it equal to 0. So to do that, I've got to subtract the 14y on both sides. Now this can be where people mess up. I'm going to subtract the 14y on both sides. But remember, it's got to be in a particular order. It's got to have the y squared first, then the y term, then the constant term equal to 0. So notice that I had to put it in the right order. Set it equal to 0 and make sure it says ax squared, then the bx, and then the c equals 0. And then you have to determine your a, b, and c. So set it equal to 0. Your a is 1. Your b is negative 14. And your c is 32. Okay, so that's your a, b, and c. And we're going to put it into our formula. And the formula is x equal. Now for this one, our variable is y. So for this one, it's actually technically a y equal. That's okay. It's no big deal. And it's negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So memorize the formula. Check out some other YouTube videos on memorizing the quadratic formula using a song. If you'll search those, you'll find some pretty interesting ones. So that's where I'm at. I'll put my numbers in my formula. So here we go. Y is equal to negative b. B is negative 14. Plus or minus the square root of b squared. Well, that's negative 14 squared. Minus 4 times 1 times 32. And that's all over 2 times 1. Okay, so now step 4 says do the radical all the way. Do the radical all the way. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that radical out and just focus on it in my little scratch area. I'll put it right here. And so I've got negative 14 times negative 14. Do not rely on your calculator. It's going to mess you up. Negative 14 squared is a positive 196. It's positive. Okay, and then look at for your sign. This is going to be a negative. A negative 4 times a 1 times a 32. Like, I thought it was subtract 4. It is, same difference. If you are a negative person, you are subtracting from our lives. So if you are negative, you subtract. And if you are subtracting from our lives, then you're negative. So just, there you are. So 4 times 32 is going to be, oh, that's a big number, minus 128. Okay, so now I'm going to subtract that out. Again, I'm just doing the radical all the way. And I'm going to subtract that, and I'm going to try to do it in my head. And I think I get 68. I think that's right, 68. Okay, so then I got to factor that. That's 2 times 34. So that's going to be 2 times 17. All right, so I get 2 square roots of 17. Okay, radical done all the way. I'm ready to go back to my problem. All right, so let's go back. All right, so now we got a positive 14 plus or minus 2 square roots of 17 all over 2. Okay, so now the last step that I recommend that you do is to separate your fraction and reduce. Okay, so we're going to separate our fractions. So I have 14 over 2 plus or minus 2 squared is 17 over 2. And each one of these fractions will reduce. This reduces to 2. That's a 1. So it's just a square root of 17. And that is my official answer. That's it. 2 square roots of 17. Okay. Next problem we have 3x squared equals 3 plus 4x. Again, we're going to, number one, set equal to 0. So I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to subtract. I want that to go away. I'm going to subtract the 4x on both sides and subtract the 3, and it's going to say equals 0. Okay, so now make sure I get it in the right order when I write it down this time. That's going to be 3x to the second minus the 4x minus 3. And so I've done that. Now, once I get that, I'm going to determine my A, B, and C. A is going to be 3, B is negative 4, and C is negative 3. So I'm going to use my formula. All right, and there's my formula. Negative B plus or minus the square root, B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. Okay, here we go. So negative B, so negative 4 plus or minus the square root, B squared, so that's negative 4 squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 3 all over 2 times 3. Okay, so we put it in our formula. Step 4, we're going to simplify our radical, just the radical. Okay, so doing the radical, I'm going to get a 16. All right, and then let's look at this and see if we can determine the sign. That's going to be a positive. That's a positive 36. So that's what we're going to have, is a positive 36. Okay. And 16 plus 36 is going to give me a positive 52. So that's going to give me 2 times 26, 2 times 2 times 13. The 2's are going to get out, and the 13 stays in. Radical done all the way. That's step 4. Radical done all the way. All right, let's bring it back in. It's going to be a positive 4 plus or minus 2 square roots of 13 all over 6. Okay. Step 5 is to separate and reduce the fractions. Okay. So that gives me 4 over 6 plus or minus 2 square roots of 13 over 6. 2/3 plus or minus, and that's going to be a 1/3. Separate my fractions. So here we go. So that is 1/3, and that one's 2/3. And I didn't write the 1 because I really didn't need it, but if you want to put the 1 in there, oops, wrong color. If you want to put the 1 in there, it goes right there. And that's my answer. Again, that is 2 answers, but they are. That's what X is. Okay. Let's see if we got time for another one. Again, same steps over and over again. Stop the video right now and try this one all by yourself. See what happens. You might surprise yourself. Here we go. Set equal to 0. So this time, you could say, well, what if I do that? Is that going to change anything? Not really. I wouldn't do it that way. But that just makes your A a negative. Does that change anything? Not really. So let's try. Let's see what happens. So we got a negative x squared plus the 4x minus 7. My A is negative 1. My B is 4. My C is negative 7. Okay, put in my formula. Memorize that formula. If you'll write it down, every single problem, you will memorize it. Okay, so now here we go. Need some color. Try some orange. Okay, so x is going to be equal to negative positive 4 this time, plus minus the square root of b squared, so 4 squared minus 4 times negative 1 times negative 7 all over 2 times negative 1. Okay, remember, once we get it in there, we're going to do the radical first. Okay, so now the radical. I've got a 16. Now let's count up those negative signs. I've got 3 negatives. Negative times a negative times a negative is going to be a negative. Minus, wrong, minus, okay, and so that's going to be 28. It's going to be a 28. Okay, so now, whoa, somebody didn't like what I did. Okay, so now we're going to have the square root of 16 minus 28 is negative 12. Is that correct? All right, I'm going to have an I, and that's 2 times 6. 2 times 3, so the 2 is going to get out, and the 3 is going to stay in. So my radical all the way is 2i squared of 3. Now let's bring it back in. Whoa. Here we go. All right. X equal negative 4 plus or minus, now let's bring our radical back in, 2i square root of 3 all over negative 2 this time. Okay, separate your fractions. Separate your fractions. That's negative 4, negative 2, plus or minus 2i over square root of 3 over negative 2. Okay, this one's going to be 2 plus or minus be negative I square roots of 3. Okay, so now what that's going to do is it's not really going to do anything, because when you do the plus and negative, that's going to make this 2 minus I square roots of 3. And then when you do the minus negative, it changes to a plus I square roots of 3. So those are your two answers right there. Don't let that extra negative throw you off. Those are your two answers. Okay, guys. Whew, I did those really fast. Please slow down. Try to do the problems before I get them done. Stop the video. Put the video on extra slow-mo. Turn the volume off so you don't have to listen to my silly southern drawl. And slow down and you get these right. Okay, just remember, it is just math, y'all. Y'all, it is just math.